Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Like many Canadian adolescents, I spent the majority of my youth playing hockey, downhill skiing, and playing golf rather than completing my assigned chores. Little did I realize that my early athletic endeavors would come back to wreak havoc on my body later in life. Scholastically, I graduated in 1964 with a chemical technologist degree, obtained a bachelor's degree in chemistry in 1968, and finally a master's degree in environmental science in 1995. In 1969, after 5 years in the workforce, I decided that corporate life was not for me, at least not yet. I wanted to travel and to see the world. I spent the next 3 years as an upscale hippie, skiing and traveling throughout Canada, United States, Mexico, and Europe. I classified myself as an upscale hippie because I worked at various jobs to pay for my travels. I worked as a bellhop, a waiter, a bartender listening to everybody complain, and a short order cook. Can you imagine, I even worked as an au pair in Paris, France, with a family with 5 small children. Now that certainly was a change for a 28-year-old chemist turned upscale hippie ski bum. Working with those 5 kids was probably one reason why I waited so long to have children of my own, I'll tell you that. Anyway, I returned to Canada in 1972 and it was time to get serious. I got married and started working as an analytical chemist with a Labatt Brewing Company. Now there was a great job learning how to analyze and drink beer and taste beer for 25 years. The marriage was blessed with 2 beautiful daughters, Natalie and Heidi, but sadly ended in divorce in 1981. In the early 90s, age and my previous athletic endeavors and sports injuries started to catch up with me. And Mr. Arthritis took up residency in my body full-time. And man, I'm a great host because he's still living with me today. And as a result, I have more new parts than any 1943 model that I know of. I have 2 artificial hips, an artificial knee, I have a pacemaker implanted. I've had shoulder surgery and a melanoma removed from my arm. So I'm well acquainted with the marvels of modern medicine that have kept me playing golf 5 days a week in Canada in the summer and Florida in the winter times. My name's Herb Wagner and I'm the founder and president of A Man's Pink. I am also a 4.5-year breast cancer survivor. While very rare, approximately 1% of all breast cancer is diagnosed in men. In other words, approximately 2,000 men this year in the United States, about 200 men in Canada will be diagnosed with breast cancer. As a result, about 450 men in the US will die and about 45 in Canada. When the same type of tumor or the same grade of tumor is diagnosed at the same stage in either men or women, the prognosis and treatment options are about the same. Unfortunately, more often than not, male breast cancer is diagnosed at a later, more advanced stage. Consequently, the overall prognosis for men is not as good as it is for women, mainly because it's diagnosed later. And this is in part due to the fact that many men are unaware that breast cancer is a disease that can affect them, and also men are notorious for not seeking medical advice, especially regarding a breast issue. Consequently, my mission has become to increase male breast cancer awareness. In March of 2005, I went into my doctor's office in Spring Hill regarding a cyst in my neck. When I took off my shirt, he asked me about the inverted nipple, which my family doctor in Cincinnati said 6 months previously was nothing to worry about. Well, he left the room, came back in 5 minutes later and said, I was scheduled for a mammogram the next day. There's something that every man should experience. I'm sure if they did, they'd be far more understanding of what one would go through. He called me at home that evening and told me there was a lump in the breast, and he had arranged for a surgeon friend of his to do a biopsy the next day. That was Friday. Monday morning I was told I had invasive stage 2 ductal carcinoma. I had breast cancer and should undergo surgery as soon as possible. To say the least, I was devastated by such an unexpected diagnosis. I have an analytical personality, and I needed to know all I could about the disease and the prognosis. And the surgeon was very good. We spent about 45 minutes talking about the potential prognosis and treatment options. I underwent a sentinel node evaluation and modified radical mastectomy 11 days after the original mammogram with removal of 5 lymph nodes. I was very fortunate in that the lymph nodes were clear of any cancer cells, and the tumor turned out to be estrogen and progesterone receptor positive. This meant that my therapy and treatment would involve hormone treatment without the need for chemo or radiation therapy. And there's something else that every man should experience. Hormone therapy. I know what hot flashes are, mood swings, depression. I cry every time Bambi comes on TV. On a more positive note, though, my daughters have said, I've become a much better individual for being more in touch with my feminine side. As we travel through life, we've all experienced situations and met individuals who have had a dramatic impact on who we have become. The support I received from my medical team and my daughters, Anne-Marie Coma, and my many friends in Florida, were instrumental in getting me through the hard times after surgery. However, I wouldn't be where I am today without having met my dearest and best friend, Barbara Francis from Fairfield, Ohio. Although Barbara was truly an amazing woman who wholeheartedly believed that individuals can have a positive effect on this world. She was always giving back to others. Although she lost a battle with ovarian cancer in July of '07, it was the time I spent with her after her surgery and until her passing that is responsible for creating the caring individual I have become. When always giving back to others, she helped me realize that having breast cancer could be a very positive thing. I was now in a great position to talk to other men and make them aware that it is also a man's disease. In 2000, and consequently, in order to increase male breast cancer awareness and to prevent the misdiagnosis, but more importantly, as a tribute to Barbara, I began to speak whenever I could about breast cancer in men. In 2006, Wrangler and other Western wear companies joined forces with the rodeo industry to create the Tough Enough to Wear Pink campaign in order to raise awareness of breast cancer and research funds, or money to support research. And they've been very successful today and have contributed over $1 million to breast cancer research. Since 2006, I've been wearing the pink shirt and talking wherever and whenever I can to increase male breast cancer awareness. I've completed documentaries on TV with NBC in the US and CTV, CBC, and Rogers in Canada, as well as, I think, 8 different newspaper articles in Canada and the US. I have completed 2 photo shoots with breast cancer calendars here in Florida to support breast cancer. Mr. December was good this year. And in generally, just try to do whatever I can. In 2008, in July, I joined the Canadian National Breast Cancer Dragon Boat team and have paddled with these ladies who are truly, truly inspirational at breast cancer festivals in Canada and in the US. In July of 2009, my daughters and I launched a website called www.malebreastcancer.ca to provide information and support to male breast cancer survivors and their families and their loved ones. Last month, I was asked to join 2 other male breast cancer organizations out of Maryland, out of the Shadow of Pink and the Brandon Greening Foundation, and we're striving to have the 3rd week of October recognized as Male Breast Cancer Awareness Week. Last week I spoke to the delegation representatives up in Hernando County, and we have their approval, and we have Jeannie Brownwaite, who is the 5th Congressional District Congresswoman, who is also going to support this idea. So we're going to get there. And I'd like to personally thank Moffitt for their Seek and Speak story, because especially Joanne, she got me to the point of being able to talk and go out and have the courage to go and talk to men. And finally, I'd like to ask all you here tonight to help me in the mission and tell all the men that are involved in your life that breast cancer is a disease that can also affect them, and that early diagnosis is the key to survival. Johnny Cash became famous as the Man in Black, and I'm hoping to become the man who, as Wrangler says, is tough enough to wear pink. Thank you, ladies. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. Thank you.